One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 6 already got so much hate before the episode premiered, managed to get a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDB. Honestly, mate, I thought that was already a very high score for such a disappointing episode. But 1 week later, that episode went from a 6.4 out of 10 to a 5.9 out of 10. Meaning that not one episode from Season 3 managed to get a 6 or higher rating for Season 3.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
That is absolutely abysmal, especially when you compare it to My Hero Academia. Last week's episode got quite a bit of hate. Fans hated the way the music was edited, fans hated the flashbacks, they felt that the fight sequences were awfully disappointing compared to the Bakugo episodes, and felt that Studio Bones failed Deku, which I thought was absolutely outrageous when you compare My Hero Academia to One Punch Man. Oh well, at least the biggest Superman hater Lex Luthor likes My Hero Academia. Even though that episode got quite a bit of hate, it still scored a 9.3 out of 10, and all 7 episodes from Season 8 managed to get over 9 out of 10 in the ratings. And it deserves it, because Season 8 has been absolutely phenomenal. The final season is great. Sadly, the same can't be said for One Punch Man Season 3. The staff list got quite a bit of backlash because they were outsourcing the episode to China, and wow, a lot of fans were not happy about this at all. As you can see here, the episode wasn't even out yet, and people were already doom posting, saying that the production is cooked and is completely over. But that wasn't even the worst part of it. Oh no! Because the One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 6 staff list revealed not only the episode being outsourced to Chinese studios, but the Uzumaki Episode 2 director is actually working on the episode. I have never even seen an episode of Uzumaki, and I already know the backlash towards Episode 2. Now, I have looked at clips of Uzumaki Episode 2 and yikes, what on earth am I looking at? Oh man, after looking at this episode, I can't blame the fans for being extremely disappointed. It's just so baffling that JC staff do not have the resources to actually animate a non-action episode. Is the production that cooked that they need outside help? Man, it's just horrible, and it even gets worse. A parody account thought it was absolutely funny to prank the entire One Punch Man community by naming their account MAPPA and posting a fake poster for One Punch Man. Well, that post went viral and has over 4.7 million views. A lot of fans were extremely hyped when they saw this, but quickly realized that it was nothing more than a prank. Fans absolutely hate what JC staff have done to One Punch Man, that a Season 3 remake is what they desire. Mate, Episode 6 didn't even come out and we had all this controversy. Don't get me started on what the producer said, saying to pay special attention to the action scenes in Episode 9 of this season. Honestly, mate, this is a very out of touch thing to say, and it has aged like milk. What do you mean the season features action scenes that are more intense and continuous than previous ones? I do wonder if the various experiments she mentioned are the blue filter effects. Oh boy, and also the fans were absolutely begging Madhouse to remake One Punch Man Season 3. But with all that drama from this week out of the way, what do I think of One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 6? Yeah, I think you have an idea as to what I think of this episode. Before I talk about the negatives, let's talk about the positives. This episode is entirely saved by the voice acting and the music. In particular, the first half of the episode during the meeting with the S-Class heroes. The voice acting was top-notch, particularly Tatsumaki. If you close your eyes, then you can imagine an absolutely spectacular anime with just the high-quality voice acting and music. Someone should edit this episode with the manga panels instead of the anime scenes. Some of the comedic moments were actually pretty funny in my opinion. The scene of Child Emperor saying that he didn't want to invite Amai Mask because he could make a ruckus, thinking that in his head while Tornado just says it out loud, yeah, we all hate you, Amai Mask. That was pretty funny. I do like how Tatsumaki keeps it real, doesn't hide her emotions, just says what she thinks. Man, Amai Mask is one cocky character. Even though he is not a Class S hero, this dude still walks into this meeting room and demands everyone to be under his command because they need his assistance. I was indeed very entertained with all the fighting and bickering back and forth. And my mask did say something pretty interesting, more or less saying that the S-Class heroes exist because they are under control. If not for that control, then they are just seen as dangerous people with high combat power. Something about that line feels like a big foreshadowing to something that could happen in the future. If this raid goes badly and the S-Class heroes end up failing again, maybe the government or whoever is in charge of these heroes will cast them aside and see them as a dangerous threat. A little bit how the Transformers were treated in Age of Extinction. Something about a My Mask presence just gives me the creeps. I feel like this dude is going to do something that could end up resulting in the public seeing the S-Class heroes in a negative light. He wants to be the top dog. The dude is giving me Flockfuster vibes. Fortunately, King comes in to put a My Mask in his place, although it's kind of funny that they all think King has been doing some heroic things. In reality, he hasn't done anything. I really enjoyed this whole subplot of everyone thinking that King is one of the strongest heroes of all time, when in reality he's a coward. A very entertaining subplot. I would like to see how long it lasts. Once again, Fubuki has some of the best subtle character animations in all of season 3. There are multiple shots where her hair is flowing in the wind as she is walking. I like how the makers were trying to be cinematic with this shot of Fubuki, and there are multiple shots where she is pretty well drawn. And once again, I like the gag of people ignoring Fubuki. Both Tatsumaki and Fubuki had pretty funny scenes in this episode. Even Tatsumaki was well drawn. JC staff clearly have their favorites. Genesis' new design does look pretty cool. I am quite curious to see what it looks like in action. I do feel a bit bad for King because they're going on the mission without Saitama. Without Saitama by his side, he could be exposed as being a fraud. And speaking of Saitama, I'm quite curious as to where he is going. My theory, he's going to find the Monster Association's lair and confront both Garu and Orochi. Maybe the next episode will be the two of them fighting Orochi. Who knows, we just got to wait and see. But those are all the praises. Now let's talk about the negatives. Oh boy. This episode had bad editing once again. There were multiple times in this episode where it would just cut and the pacing would just feel completely off in my opinion. Sometimes the art looked good and sometimes it looked bad in my opinion. There were multiple shots, particularly in the end post-credit scene, where the art looked incredibly crude, very rushed in my opinion, and barely any animation. I know it's all dialogue for this episode, but the characters were barely moving or blinking. It was another slideshow nightmare. Honestly, there were multiple shots where I was so distracted by the badly drawn cuts that I couldn't pay attention to the story. Honestly, this episode was extremely underwhelming to watch, and it is such a shame because the voice acting and music are pretty good, and Fubuki and Tatsumaki, they were well drawn, but once again this episode was pretty bad. The fans yet again predicted that this episode was going to be absolute garbage when it came to the lack of animation and bad art. But with the producer hyping up episode 9, will that episode be any better than this one? Or will it be another trashy looking episode? Tell me in the comments down below, what do you guys think of all of this? Did you like or hate One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 6? Because oh my goodness, that was extremely underwhelming. Tell me, like this video, subscribe for more One Punch Man videos, as well as other anime news updates, reviews, comparisons, breakdowns, rankings, and more. Thank you for watching. The Second Boy Dude signing out.